So today's video is going to be somewhat of a continuation in a certain respect to yesterday's video, whereas yesterday's video dealt from the perspective of marriage, focusing on the positive, focusing on the good. Today's video is also going to deal with focusing on the positive, focusing on the good from the perspective of social relationships, relationships with friends. Okay, so the question is, we're a group of five women friends, and we make time each week to go out for breakfast together. Now, there's one woman in the group who is very conceited, and when she speaks, as you can imagine, she tends to speak about herself. Now, this fills me with resentment and negativity, and I'd like to know how I can rid myself of these negative feelings. So first, I'd like to say that I think it's wonderful that you and your friends make time to spend together each week. Because in this busy and hectic world, very often people just don't make times for these types of relationships. And it is very beneficial to nurture and to make time, make a priority these types of relationships. It benefits us and it benefits other people. Now, I'd say it's also admirable too that you're focusing on how you can respond to the situation rather than exploring how we can get your friend to change. Because as we know, Hashem places challenges in our path so we can grow. And when we embrace the challenge and when we learn from the challenge, not only do we gain, but the challenge tends to dissipate and no longer be apparent in our lives. Whereas when we kind of fight or run from the challenge, unfortunately, what can happen is the challenge will resurface in our life, maybe in a different garment or a different form. Now, to answer your question, our souls are composed of intellect and emotion. And it's our intellect that has the power to guide and influence our feelings and our emotional responses. Where we choose to place our focus, our thoughts, has a very powerful effect on how we're going to feel and how we're going to relate to circumstances and situations in our lives. So we all have different kind of patterns of thought, but a very common pattern that many people have is what's called magnification or tunnel vision, which very often expresses itself as fixating on one negative item or one negative event. We see it in ourselves, whereas very often, as opposed to recognizing and focusing on our many positive traits, we'll tend to pick out that one negative element and focus on that. Or we do it with other people too. Other people are composed of many very positive aspects and traits. And unfortunately, what can happen is we focus on their one kind of like negative or their not so good part of their personality. So I would say that the fact that this woman is part of your social group, one of your friends, it would suggest that she must have some good and redeeming qualities. So shifting your attention towards her positive traits will help to reduce your feelings of anger and resentment. And when we train ourselves to do this, to see the good in others and to see the good in ourselves, not only does it become easier to do that, but our emotions, our feelings become much more positive. Now, the Lubavitcher Rebbe repeatedly emphasized the benefits of seeing the positive, seeing the good. And there's a well-known story that after the Rebbe had a major heart attack, so the doctors recommended that the Rebbe should change his routine. And they said if he doesn't, there's a 25% chance that the Rebbe can have a relapse. So the Rebbe, with his signature optimism, responded, so that means if I keep the same routine, there's a 75% chance that I won't have a relapse. So that positivity, that optimism is something that we can learn from, and we can definitely apply in our everyday lives. So in conclusion, what I would say is to focus on your friend's positive qualities that will make you feel better, and it will also enhance your relationship with your friend. And two, accept her imperfections, that remembering that growth is a lifelong journey for your friend and for all of us will help to lessen those feelings of resentment and negativity you feel inside yourself. Because ultimately, what is true friendship? True friendship means embracing someone fully, valuing their strengths, and showing compassion and patience for their weakness. Just as we're on the journey of growth, so too are the people in our lives. Now, ultimately, your friend might not change, but your peace of mind and your well-being doesn't have to be dependent on whether or not your friend is going to change. By shifting your focus, you'll feel better, and it's very likely that your relationship with your friend will also improve.